here?
Thanks.
Did you get all the art in this tiny car? That's what we're gonna ask you.
Trying my best. But where are we going?
Where are we going?
Is it called Northwood?
It's near Northwood.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Doing my first show, art show, outside of the VA and performance tomorrow. But right now we're going to drop off the art and may help set up everything for the show.
Are you excited?
Anxiety, but yeah, I'm excited just to see what people's reaction is or what their feedback is from everything that I've been putting together and doing. This is the Unfiltered. What is it called? Backstory documentary?
Behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes documentary. So that's my biggest hope out of doing this, is that bigger opportunities and bigger art shows come sooner than later so that I can stay busy. Got someone there. I wonder who that
Oh, look at that little cat.
is. All these buildings are part of it. Look at that. Northwood Art.
So bumpy over here.
Alright.
Bye.
Here's where the video's gonna go. And then look at all this food for tomorrow. All this was donated.
Thank you, Wes. Our next storyteller I met a year ago. I had actually interviewed him on my Vets Connection podcast. I I kind of had a conversation with him, and I was like, you need to come on my podcast. And he came on the podcast. And just in that meeting that we had, I connected with him. Through whatever he was telling me, whatever was bothering him, I listened. And I talked to him, and we became friends. Eventually, he reached out and he said, I want to do a podcast. So I started working with him to do a podcast. But it became more than that. Every week he would come in and he just evolved that much more. He came out of the shell just that much more. And I still work with him once a week today, to this day. Because we've become friends. It's more than that when you work with veterans one-on-one. I become friends with all of them, but Michael Vassalero became a good friend of mine, who I care about. All his artwork, for the people that are watching at home, is all surrounding us. He's an amazing talent. He writes poetry. Right here, he made this behind me. It's just amazing to see his stuff. He has a table full of poems. He's just a true artist. And he's never done anything like this before. When I asked him, tell me a Christmas story. I want a Christmas story from you. But it has to be happy. It has to be happy. He said, he looked at me in his very soft-spoken manner, he goes, okay. And that's all I needed to hear. And so with that, I want to introduce you to and bring up my friend, Michael Vassalero.
This is the first time hearing my own voice or sharing anything. I actually wrote out my story. I know it's not important to touch every word, but it will help me stay on track and I have a lot of anxiety. I've been working through it, and through the friendship has built my confidence to stand in front of you. The title of my story is The Longest Silent Night. Christmas for me always meant snow. It meant the smell of pine and baking, the sound of my cousins laughing, and the chaotic joy of a house full of family. You couldn't find a place to sit. It meant snow forts, video games, and a profound, blissful ignorance of anything that lay beyond frosted windows. It was a time when the world was safe, warm, and guaranteed. On December 24th, 2008, I was 7,000 miles from that field. At the operating base, Gary Owen, in southern Iraq, there was no snow. There was only gravel, dust, and the endless beige horizon. The air doesn't smell pine, it smells like diesel, metal, and distant burn pits. And I was terrified. Fear had become my biggest weakness. It was a cold, heavy thing that lived in my stomach. It felt like when I stood in the auditorium months earlier, a kid in a new uniform watching hundreds of other soldiers say goodbye to their families. I had no one there to kiss, no one there to hug, I just boarded the bus with a knot in my chest so tight I could barely breathe. I thought, I'm not prepared for this. The fact that I joined the infantry blew my mind myself. Because I was raised by my grandparents and a mother, and I was taught to love and to be kind, and I was not prepared for that. 7 months into deployment, that fear had turned into a hollow ache. The missions with Long Knife Combat Team were relentless, day and night. We were outside the wire hunting for the men who were hunting us. And the work had brought the rocket attacks on our base.
Oh, shit! We're down right there, dude.
But the cost was a grinding isolation. Communication home was a luxury, a high-cost phone call at 3 a.m. that never lasted long enough. Mail was sporadic. Weeks would go by, then months, nothing. You start to accept it. You start to believe you are truly, fundamentally alone in this. The mission on Christmas Eve was like any other. Full kit, rifles, the rumble of the Humvees. We rolled out, did our patrol, and returned, tired and coated with the same fine dust that covered everything. It was just another day. And then there was mail calls. They handed me 2 boxes. The first one brought a small, sharp sting of relief. It was from my grandparents. I could see the familiar cursive on the label. I knew inside there would be wrapped gifts. Just seeing it made me feel a little more less left out, a little more less forgotten. But it was the second box that undid me. It was a standard USPS flat rate box with no name on it that I recognized. I pulled my knife out and cut the tape inside. And inside, it wasn't packed with snacks or magazines, but it was full of paper. I pulled one out. It was a piece of red construction paper, folded in half, and on the front, a Christmas tree, drawn in green crayon with yellow glitter glue stars. I opened it in the clumsy, oversized print of a second grader said, "Dear soldier, Merry Christmas. I hope you are safe. Thank you for being brave. From Amanda." I just stared at it. I fumbled for the next one. A snowman made of cotton balls. Next, an American flag with wobbly stripes. Get home soon. USA. Thank you, hero. And then underneath the cards were 3 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Thin mints, peanut butter, and my favorite, Samoa Delights. A letter explained that they were from a troop from the tiny hometown upstate New York, where I was from. They didn't even know my name. They had just sent it to a soldier. I sat down on my cot. The knot in my chest from the auditorium, the one I'd been swallowing for 7 months, suddenly burst. I didn't just feel recognized, I felt seen. I have joined the military to be someone, to be known. And I was being thanked by children I would never meet. They had no idea who I was, where I was, or the fear that I carried every single day. But they saw me. I felt so proud. I had to take a picture. I propped up all the cards on the plywood shelf behind my cot, the same shelf that held my laptop, my helmet, my rifle. And I sat there looking at the camera, trying to capture the moment, the one moment I didn't feel afraid anymore. That night, everything changed. I took the cookies to my buddies. Look what I got. We gathered in a tent, a makeshift living room in my area. We pushed aside my gear and put a movie on. As we sat there on my cot in Foot Locker, passing around a sleeve of thin mints, something impossible happened. We were chugging Monster Energy drinks from the can like it was champagne. In that tent, all of it, the rockets, the fear of the EFPs on night patrols, the men we had already lost, the sadness of being so far from home, it just disappeared. It was the first time in 7 months that fear was gone. We weren't soldiers, we were just kids sharing cookies on Christmas Eve. The next day, Christmas, the Army did its best. They decorated the chow hall. They served a full Christmas dinner. We ate a holiday meal off paper plates for one single sacred moment. It almost felt like being back at home. As we all sat at those long tables surrounded by family we had made in that place of sand and steel, we felt a flicker of that magic. It was a reprieve, a breath. But the war doesn't take long holidays. We all knew January was waiting. The rockets would return, the convoys would be hit, the missions would get long and hard. The nights would get longer, the fear would creep back in, and the peace was never meant to last. I look back at that Christmas, at those photos, and I understand that night wasn't just about cookies or cards. It was about a pinprick light in the most profound darkness. It was a night, a box of misspelled cards from a group of little girls that reached across the world.
You got it.
Right into the chest of a scared, lonely soldier in Iraq, and told him he wasn't alone. In that one moment, it was enough to keep going.
That's my friend.
Way to go, Michael. Way to go, brother.
Our next storyteller came in from Maryland.